Apple recently updated its App Store policies, introducing a 27% commission on alternative payment methods following the Epic versus Apple court ruling. This move has drawn criticism from major players like Spotify and Epic Games. Spotify's spokesperson, Janine Morin, expressed dissatisfaction, calling it a tactic to protect Apple's profits. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney labeled the policy as anti-competitive and harmful to price competition. The Coalition for App Fairness also criticized the policy for not promoting consumer choice or competitive pricing. Similar policies by Apple in the Netherlands and South Korea have faced regulatory pushback and fines. That and many more stories tonight. You're listening to Geek News Central, episode 1717, coming to you this Thursday, January 18th. I'm your host, Todd Cochran. A big shout out to our primary sponsor at GoDaddy.com, powering Geek News Central. Grab their deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And hey, a warm welcome to all our awesome listeners. You're the real MVPs. Contribute your time, talent, or treasure at geeknewscentral.com/insider by becoming a GNC insider. We're live and lit with modern podcast apps from podcastapps.com. Join our value for value movement by downloading a modern podcast app. To all our amazing listeners out there, a big virtual hub, dive into our website at geeknewscentral.com. Definitely check out all the great content on the website. We definitely want you to do that. Follow or subscribe to the podcast directly on the right-hand column. Of course, you can subscribe to our newsletter as well. Don't forget about our partners, all linked up at Geek News Central right at the top of the page. And of course, we don't want you to forget, subscribe. You can join our chat room at geeknews.chat. And if you have feedback, you can do that very easily at Geek News on Twitter or via email, geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can catch me on Facebook as well. And of course, a massive salute to GoDaddy, the longest continuous sponsor of a podcast. We want to thank them for their ongoing support of the show. It's time for you to think about picking up a GoDaddy product or service. And it's easy to do that. Just again, go over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy and grab yourself a hosting account. $6.99 a month economy hosting with a free domain, professional email, and a SSL certificate for the first year. Again, $6.99 a month economy hosting with a free domain, professional email, and a secure socket level certificate. A $12.99 a month managed WordPress hosting. Again, $12.99 a month managed WordPress hosting includes a free domain, professional email, and an SSL certificate for the first year. Or $11.99 for a brand new domain name. You can always get on board with a free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder. Your choice of personal, business, or business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. We want to thank GoDaddy again. You can lock in these deals. Get over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Look the deal over, figure out the one you want, and pull the trigger. Now, that managed WordPress hosting, I use that extensively, and I really love that product in a big way. If you're looking to do something like e-commerce, something a little more involved, that economy hosting for $6.99 is really the way to go. And of course, that free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder. If you have no idea how to build a website, you have nary one clue at all, that free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder is the way to go. So again, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Lock in your deal today. And what you do when you do that is you support this independent team of content creators. Yes, creators. And it's just not me. It's our writer team and everything else. So please support us and help us keep the lights on. Gas bill just came in, so help to pay that as well. So we want to thank you for your ongoing support of GoDaddy, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Thank you, GoDaddy, for being here. All right, how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. I've got a good lineup for you tonight. Kirk did a good job getting the news together. I start the show prep right about 5:15 or so, and can hardly get motivated. It's been busy, very 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 busy week. Of course, I'm going to be with you Monday of next week, and then I leave for Orlando, Florida for Podfest. I'll fly out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Actually, fly back on Saturday. There will be a show on Monday, and then we go remote for a while. And but anyway, the show continues. We're going to keep on rocking and rolling. So just be aware of that, and should be full on following. And I don't see any breaks really in the foreseeable future, except for the show next Thursday, which I'll be out as I'm down in Florida talking with podcasters and so forth. So let me just kind of get into the stack here a little bit for you. And boy, oh boy, people are pissed on this Apple deal. You know, the thing about this 27% tax, there's a reason they picked 27%. It's because usually when you're processing credit cards, you have a transaction fee plus 2.5 to 3%, depending on your volume. So they left no money on the table, really, for these app folks. They really just basically, okay, we're going to do this. Well, you know, you're going to have to pay a 27% tax. We'll see what happens, what develops. We'll see if there's going to be any more lawsuits. But people are big mad. What did you expect? You know, Apple is in control. They own you. You have built your business on top of their platform. You have no choice but to pay the duty. That's the way it is. It's just, I hate to say it at this point, we may not like it, and people may not be happy about this. I can't imagine giving up 30%. If I was a business and I had to give someone 30% of my revenue, I couldn't survive. I'd have to raise my prices at least 30 to 35%. There'd be no other choice in order to survive. I wouldn't survive if I had to give some company 30% of my revenue. It's an extraordinary number. And you think about it, if you're in a business or the business you work in had to give someone 30% for the pleasure. So again, at some point, maybe these companies will start to wake up a little bit and figure out how they can survive in this ecosystem without paying this duty. Take back control of your business. But again, if it's purely based on an app, not a lot you can do about that. Mark Zuckerberg's new goal is creating AGI, artificial general intelligence, and he wants Meta to open source it eventually, maybe. So I guess the metaverse is gone. So he's shaking up things by moving Meta's AI research group, FAIR, to the same part of the company as the team building generative AI products across Meta's apps. The goal is for Meta's AI breakthroughs to be more directly reach its billions of users. He says, we've come to this view that in order to build the products we want to build, we need to build for general intelligence. Zuckerberg has said in an exclusive interview with The Verge. I think that's important to convey because a lot of our best researchers want to matter to a hill of beans. Amazon may launch a paid version of Alexa later this year. Why would they do this? Now, the team first announced it was reworking Alexa last September, which was followed reports that over 15,000 users were helping test the service under a code name Remarkable Alexa. Now, maybe they're bringing AI skills like those found in ChatGPT to your smart home device. I don't know. And we will see. I don't use Alexa. Maybe I'm not a user of everything that I talk about. I am not in the market to control my whole home. How many of you have controlled your entire home? All your lights, your security, all your stuff by talking to your Alexa device? How many of you have done that? I don't know. Maybe some, but I'm sure not everyone. I know I haven't. Here and there, I got a few things that are integrated, but it's usually their own apps and so forth. So what say you? What are you doing in your houses? Hey, do you want to mention tonight, of course, that a shout out to our insiders? Between Monday's show and today's show, there's been no new insider donations. And I'm hoping to make you guys understand this is going to be a critical component of going forward with the podcast. We want you to be in here at a $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 a month contribution level. It's really important to us to get that support. We have had some streaming sats. I do appreciate the folks that were streaming. Darren Schwartz, thank you for your streaming sats that came through. So definitely those of you that are participating by trying a new podcast app at podcastapps.com, which I've been asking you now for about 6 months to make the change. Just listen to this show on that app. Start there. Go grab the Fountain app or any of the other apps. Give them a try and see what you think. Now, those of you that are listening to this show on Google Podcasts, the days are numbered. Google Podcast is going away. You need to move. You need to move to a new app. This is a great time to make a transition to a new podcast app at podcastapps.com. But then on the value for value, if you don't feel I'm providing value, then I guess don't feel like you should contribute. It's up to you, but donate what you must. Again, it's value for value, time, talent, or treasure. If you don't want to donate treasure, we could use your time and talent just as equally. So please consider becoming an insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider. Support us here, and I will continue to crank out the best content that I can to entertain and inform you of the latest and greatest that's going on in the tech world. Thank you so much. Moving on, Google's news. This is scary. Google News is boosting garbage AI generated articles. 404 Media reviewed multiple examples of AI ripoffs making their way into Google News. Google said it doesn't focus how an article is produced by an AI or human, opening the way for more AI generated articles. The presence of AI generated content in Google News signals two things. First, the black box nature of Google News, with entry into Google News rankings in the first place, an opaque but apparently gameable system. Second is how Google may not be ready for moderating its new service in the age of consumer access AI, where essentially anyone is able to churn out a massive content with little or no regard for its quality or originality. Everything currently being written at geeknewscentral.com is still being written now. I'm using summaries for this show, but every other tech article that's on the website is being generated by hand. Original content. These are original stories by the Geek News Central team. And they research them and they do the digging in that you expect from us. So definitely consider that our original voices are very important, and we are putting forth an original voice, not a AI generated voice, not AI generated news, not AI generated or curated content for the show. Everything here is original. And I think you're going to find it harder and harder as time goes on to distinguish between artificial intelligence generated content than what comes from a real journalist. So be aware that at this time we are going to the continued expense to be able to bring you content that is hand curated within the budget that I have. And again, if there's larger support for the show, we can up the article rate that we're able to put out each month. It's purely a budgeting situation. We would put out 10 articles a day if we had the budget to do so. I could resort to a machine that collates press releases, and I just pick 10 every day and let an AI write summaries of those press releases. Sure, we could do that. But I think the value of what's created at Geek News Central would go down. And there would be no human in the loop besides maybe pushing publish. So consider that. Android Auto gets new AI features aimed at reducing driver distraction. Message summaries mean no more robo-voiced nonsense. Google lined its latest announcement with the launch of the Samsung Galaxy S24, which we'll talk about here a little bit later, where Android Auto will soon be getting some choice updates. The recent updates harness the power of AI to summarize long messages or busy group chats, picking out key points, so the driver and passenger don't have to listen to a robotic voice assistant reading out huge chunks of text. I would prefer the whole message. What else are we listening to, right? Similarly, if your phone is pinging with a flurry of group messages, Android can summarize a chat. In addition to this, Google says that Android Auto will soon reflect personalized design elements housed on the owner's smartphone. And so I guess it's all about message playback is where the big improvements are. I don't know if that's a huge advancement or not, but that's what's being announced. Over on the Robinhood case, Robinhood has settled with Massachusetts regulators for $7.5 million. They agreed to pay and overhaul its practices, resolve allegations of Massachusetts security regulators that it encouraged inexperienced investors to place risky trades. I think anyone that is stepping their foot into any type of stock market in this day and age should be of the understanding that if they put $100 in, they could lose $100. I look at my American Airlines stock that I have. Oh my God, I've been underwater on that thing for 2 years. So, it is what it is, right? You have stock, some goes up, some goes down. And the risk. And it's just like anything else. You're going to play in the big boys pen. You got to be able to take big boy losses. And in that regard as well, you can potentially do very well. So, time will tell where this will lead. But 7.5 million they had to whip out. Another Bard leak shows Google is preparing to add an AI image generator. Currently, I have been using the AI generator for Dolly. And I'll be honest with you, this is where a little time and talent could come in. I need help in getting the prompts. And matter of fact, all of my GPTs for podcasting are now available in the store for OpenAI. So you just search for the word podcast. You see my name by the app, and my image generator. I'm not completely pleased with it yet. I've worked on it quite a bit, and it still is not giving me what I want. So if you want to invest time and talent, help me with a GPT, basically language write-up that forces the GPT to leave some transparency space at the bottom of the image, a little bit in the top two corners, and creating images that don't have any text because it gets the text wrong at this point, and help me come up with a better GPT for the show and creating episode art. I bet you if one of you took the time and spent 2-3 hours over the next week and worked on that, we could come up with a pretty good image generator for this show. And we could share it with the OpenAI community. And so this is where you can suggest talent. We'd like to do it under my name. So you would be contributing the actual write up, the prompt to me, and anything in that regard. But become on board, and I'll definitely give credit where credit is due. If it makes any money, that'll come back to the contributor of that. So help out. But anyway, Bard is going to implement an AI image generator. And by the way, doing image generation within the API is the most expensive thing you can do within OpenAI. Speculation speaks that generates possible uses of Imagen 2, which debuted for Vertex AI back in December 2023. So we'll see. So Google's AI chatbot Bard might have that piece of image generation in the near future. SpaceX, I think the actual launch went down today. I saw something come across. I was busy. But SpaceX called off its launch of its third commercial crew flight to the International Space Station yesterday for some type of reviews. But I believe it did launch this afternoon. We don't have an updated I don't have an updated status on this. So maybe the Space News hadn't updated when Kirk did show prep. It's not surprising. The internet in Iran is among the worst in the world. And blocked websites, daily disruptions, slower speeds, and filtering saturation of IP addresses is the grim scenario depicted by Tehran Electronics Commerce Association. They blame the president and Iranian officials' lack of knowledge for this self-inflicted situation. And Iran is leading the way for the masses to use VPN services. They're circumventing these tools as much as they can. And they're definitely a leader in internet restrictions, even more so than the Chinese. India, believe it or not, is on that list as well. Pakistan, Ethiopia, Senegal, Turkey, Kashmir are in the list of restrictions as well from a level standpoint. Of course, I don't know why China's not on that list. I would think they would be in there too. But I don't think it comes as a surprise that the internet's slow in China. Meanwhile, Microsoft Edge has gotten a speed boost in Windows 11 with a little help from Google. Teamwork makes dream work. This is interesting. Microsoft and Google have teamed up to make the default Edge browser in Windows 11 feels a lot faster, and the tech could be used to benefit Chrome users as well. As the WinBuzzer website noticed, this is all thanks to Windows 11 application launch prefetch range, which has been expanded, potentially boosting its performance. APLF comes with a parameter known as prefetch, which instructs how Windows 11 optimizes and load applications. In short, this means Windows 11 can prioritize certain programs and dedicate more processing power and memory to the app. Seems a little bit like strange bedfellows, but the fact that Google has been lending a hand to improve performance of Microsoft Edge may seem a little odd. However, remember, this collaboration makes a lot of sense if you take into account that both Edge and Chrome run on the same underlying Chromium code. So help one, you help the other. And we don't need to forget that Chromium is the base. IBM, if you work for IBM, they've ended their reward program for employees, and workers are not happy. They lost out on cash and rewards. So what was happening IBM really for decades is if they helped with a filing of a patent or against a patent, there was points awarded. And once you got to 12 points, you could turn those points into cash. Well, as of midnight, December 31st, 2023, they sunsetted the program, and people with 11 points got nothing, got zero. So not surprising here on the change over at IBM, everyone is tightening their belt in a big, big way. Talked quite a little bit about OpenAI already, but OpenAI on Thursday announced its first partnership with higher education starting in February. Arizona State will have full access to ChatGPT Enterprise and plans to use it for coursework, tutoring, research, and more. The partnership has been worked for at least 6 months with ASU Chief Information Officer, who first visited OpenAI's headquarters, preceded by the university's faculty, and staff earlier use of ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence tools. ChatGPT Enterprise was debuted in August as ChatGPT's business tier. You have to have at least 150 seats to get access to that. Includes access to GTP4 with no usage caps and the larger chat model. And with the OpenAI partnership, ASU plans to build personalized AI tutor for students, not only for certain courses, but also for study topics. So that's one of the things I did too. I built a GPT to try to help with the Blueberry's podcast support. That's in the GPT store as well. It's not perfect, but kind of a beta thing that I've been playing with. But seems to be, it looks up most of the answers really, really well. The university also used tools in ASU's largest courses, freshman composition, to offer students writing help. Now, that's interesting. And so a whole bunch of other stuff. So yes, AI is coming to a university near you. Makes you wonder, at what point do we need professors anymore? It's being reported by Digital Trends. This is a big one. They have a recommendation to not buy the Samsung Galaxy S24, and they gave 5 reasons to wait for the 25. Better cameras in the 25. What else? Has a wide angle lens, folded telephoto lens, ultra wide angle upgrade. So these are rumors for the 25. Possible redesign on the 25. What else? I guess there's going to be some new Qualcomm chips in the 25. So anyway, link will be at the show notes. I'm a big Samsung fan as well. The Galaxy, I love the phone. I probably use my Samsung more than I use my iPhone, which is pretty shocking. But I'm not due for an upgrade for a couple of years yet, so I'm not going to worry. Microsoft is warning of a near spear phishing attack targeting workers at top companies. Iran hackers are targeting researchers and academia in the West, and this is a super highly targeted campaign. Since November, Microsoft observed a distinct subset of Mint Sandstorm targeting high-profile individuals working on Middle Eastern affairs and universities and research organizations in Belgium, France, Gaza, Israel, the UK, and the United States. In the campaign, they use a phishing email that is very personalized and are having some success. So just be careful out there on those emails that are coming in that you may be clicking that you shouldn't be clicking. Over at Ars Technica, the FCC chair defends broadband discounts for poor people. Lawmakers have criticized the FCC, which is interesting, for something that was decided by Congress. So Congress voted for the Affordable Connectivity Program, but yet some Congress folks are complaining about it. Doesn't mean they voted on it. In December, Senator Ted Cruz and several other Republican lawmakers blasted the program, which gives $30 monthly broadband discounts to people with low income. The program is set to be discontinued in a few months because Congress hasn't added any funding to it. But they accused the FCC Commission of being wasteful, saying it appears the vast majority of tax dollars have gone to households that already had broadband prior to the subsidy. So I don't know the details of this, but the Democrats are seeking another $7 billion to continue funding for the program. What do you think? geeknews@gmail.com. gmail.com. Facebook and Instagram algorithms facilitated child sexual harassment state lawsuit claims. Made his own document said over 100,000 kids were harassed daily, according to the New Mexico complaint. According to a 2021 internal document, Facebook People You May Know, a logarithm was singled out as a primary connector of children to predators. When employees reported those findings to Meta executives, they reported rejected recommendations that the algorithm be redesigned to stop recommending adults to minors. The feature was responsible for 75% of all inappropriate adult-minor contact. How on earth have we not just turned off PYMK between adults and children, another employee said. It's really, really upsetting. This is from internal communications at Facebook. The issue was particularly insidious on Instagram, according to internal 2020 memo, with sex talk 38 times more prevalent on that platform than Facebook Messenger in the U.S. And it's happened more than once. Have not seen any of that kind of activity on TikTok at all. I think they've done a pretty good job of putting the thumb on adult material. There's always been some adult material on Twitter that just happens to come across from time to time. I know that there's folks, and it's pretty insidious. So I think all these platforms are susceptible to this. But New Mexico claims that Meta has failed to address large-scale predation on its platforms, particularly around its recommendation engine. State investigators originally set up phony accounts for children, providing adult dates of birth as kids often mistake their age to access online services. Then they implied that the accounts were being used by children, with one posting about a lost baby tooth and starting 7th grade. The suit alleged that, among other things, accounts were sent child sex images and offers to pay sex. There's some evil, disgusting people out here. If you have grandchildren, if you have young children, you need to be incredibly diligent at this time. This stuff is bad that's going on, and it's on all platforms. So if New Mexico found this out, and I'm seeing stuff that, and I'm not talking about, it's adult content. Have any of you run into any adult content on Facebook that you were just blown away that it was on there? I'd love to hear from you. Geeknews@gmail.com. Geeknews@gmail.com. And I'm not seeking out adult content. I'm just on Reels, looking at Reels, those little 60-second Reels or whatever they are on Facebook. And I'm not following anyone nefarious. So, I don't know. It's very interesting. EU says music streaming platforms must pay artists more. The European Parliament also wants the streaming industry to promote smaller artists. Oh, this is interesting. The European Parliament wants these services to pay artists more fairly. Also calls for more transparency in how the algorithms generate suggestions for which artists to stream. The pro changes will be designed to ensure smaller artists, like how about podcasters, are compensated fairly. Currently, royalty rates are set in a way that makes artists accept a lower pay for the distribution of their content in exchange for visibility on platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. MEP believes the current way royalties are saved is unfair. I know people this is going on in the podcasting 2.0 space. There are artists that are making 90% of the streaming stats, or any boosts that come in go to the artist versus coming to me. So I can do it in reverse. I can give back to the artists while playing their music, and you supporting the show, you inadvertently will support the artist. So this is some of the stuff that's going on that you're all missing out on. Come on, get on the bandwagon, podcastapps.com. And we don't have to worry about the EU or the Copyright Office in increasing royalties. We can make sure that artists and creators are paid. Iowa has sued TikTok for setting its app storage age rating too low. Okay. Iowa sues TikTok for setting its not storage, app store age. They shouldn't have put those words together. It's too easy to say it. Store age rating too low. So apparently, now TikTok, let's put it this way. Some of the material that's on there is definitely not appropriate for 12-year-olds. As a known lawsuit, 12 plus rating on the App Store means an app has infrequent mild sexual content, profanity, crude humor, suggestive themes, and reference to alcohol, tobacco, or drug use. However, the state of Iowa claims the content on TikTok's app doesn't fit this description, adding that it would receive a 17 plus. I believe that indeed, if correctly rated. The state alleges TikTok's T for teen rating in the Google Play Store and Microstar are also inaccurate. You do see some there's a lot of cleavage and, a lot of shorts and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I would say 17 plus for sure. I would agree with Iowa as well on the age rate. TikTok details its plan to counter misinformation in 2024. I'm not going to go into this, but there's an article here on Engadget on how they're going to protect those of us that are going to be voting. Do we need to be protected? Don't we all have an ability to make up our own mind? Isn't that, is social media really, really influencing us that much? Maybe, I don't know. Ask your 18 to 30-year-olds or any 18 to 30-year-olds that are listening to the show, is social media affecting or making a determination to help you know who to vote for? I'm wondering. Future America's Cyber Safety Review Board hangs in the balance amid calls for rethink. As the U.S. molds legislation, it would see the Cyber Safety Review Board become a permanent fixture in the government cyber defense armory. Experts are calling for a substantial change in the way it's organized. All three senior industry figures in attendance of a U.S. Senate hearing on January 17th on how the CRSB could improve agreed that a greater degree of independence is required to ensure the reports produced by the board were as richly detailed as possible. Tara Wheeler, CEO of Red Queen Dynamics, said the current makeup of the CSRB needs a serious rethink, and the way investigations are carried out at present is like asking Boeing leadership to write the sole report on what happened with last week's 737 MAX 9 disaster. Currently, the CSRB compromises 15 cybersecurity leaders from both the public and private sectors. Rightly or wrongly, a private organization is expected to be completely and wholly transparent about security incidents. So, anyway, this is a good read for you cybersecurity folks out there. Link will be in the show notes, as always, at geeknewscentral.com. All right, so this article blew me away today, and I wanted to save it to last. Don't leave. And I worry about this too. And it really kind of struck home. I haven't had any ransomware issues happen at my company. Thank God, knock on wood. Ransomware attacks are hospitalizing security pros, and one admits suicidal feelings. A cybersecurity worker in the financial service industry, for example, pinned the stress of remediating ransomware on their heart attack, which ultimately required surgery to sort out. Another worker for a charity was hospitalized after their self-care went downhill following a ransomware attack. Dehydration caused by excessive consumption of coffee coupled with an insufficient intake of water and pre-existing medical conditions led to health issues that required medical intervention. It is well known that cybersecurity pros face a challenging work environment with poor staffing levels and excessive workloads. The industry is renowned for causing high stress levels, as it is for high salaries, and episodes of burnout are so common that InfoSecers say that mental and physical toll of dealing with ransomware attacks isn't sufficiently recognized and appreciated. One interview with a security specialist working for a consultancy revealed that a ransomware attack was so mentally damaging due to their personal identity being closely tied to their professional success that the incident drove them to the brink of suicide. A feeling of personal blame was felt in many other cases too. Some drove themselves to exhaustion, working overly intensely to deal with ransomware for which they felt responsible. There's so many angles of attacks going on right now in this cybersecurity stuff and people being hacked that I'm sure that these folks are stressed. Some cited PTSD type symptoms. And so if you have a cybersecurity person in your business, please listen to them so that you're not the root cause of a cybersecurity incident. I have to, every day I'm getting emails. Lately, and I had to warn the team, lately it's been not emails, it's been some BS Facebook messages that's coming into our business channel. So, oh, your page is going to be shut down, blah, blah, blah. Click this link. Yeah, no, I'm not clicking the link. We're not doing that. We're not dumb. I had to tell the team, make sure, don't click any of the links in any of those emails or any of those messages that come in. They got a payload. And, I got a pretty tech-savvy team. But all it takes is one of us to be a little tired and say, oh, let me check this out. So it's just like the last show where we talked about the two-factor authentication on an X account by the SEC. Absolute insanity. Secure your logins. Be careful out there. Take care of your cybersecurity people. Bring them a coffee or a Gatorade or something to that effect. Take care of them. And don't click on anything weird. All right? Be careful out there. For those of you that are insiders of the show, thank you so very much for your ongoing support. It's greatly appreciated. For those of you considering becoming an insider, we definitely appreciate your consideration. If you don't have the treasure to be able to help donate to the value the show's giving you, please consider your time or talent. It's greatly appreciated. We've had many members of the show give time and talent throughout the years. They went to CES. They've done album art. They've done all kinds of crazy stuff throughout the years that I am just forever grateful for the work that's being done. And definitely, I'll be back with you on Monday for another edition of the Geekness Central podcast. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show today. And we hope, and I hope, that you have a great weekend. Stay safe. Take care of one another. Stay warm. It was a little warmer today. It was a little nicer. But